Ahoy hoy gang, if this is your first time with us, welcome, and if you're joining us from a previous video, hey, we love to see it, and I hope you're doing well. It's Bobmas Part 2, everyone! Do you hear that? The magical whimsy of the top 5 episodes of Season 2? Woo-hoo! So what worked, what failed, what beef burglary will be curtailed? There's a lot to see and a lot to do, rhyming is hard. Here's the top 5 episodes of Season 2. Number 5, Burger Boss. It was slim pickings this season, but genuinely, Burger Boss has grown on me the older I've gotten. Like, we take those high scores, we take those achievements way more personally as we get older. And I did not appreciate early season Bob's Burgers when I was younger. I thought it was weird, I thought it was out there, and I was kind of about it. Nowadays, I watch it and I'm like, oh, I understand now. This is actually kind of hot, though. Like, it's such a good Jimmy Pesto Bob story. And sure, Daryl's there and he's fine and whatever, but I just, again, Aziz Ansari, you gotta have him in small doses. Otherwise, he is just the most grating voice on the planet. And he's fine in this episode. I think this is, like, if Daryl only showed up in one episode, I would have been fine with it being this one. Because it is just a good episode of Bob's Burgers. It does everything it needs to do. The jokes are super sharp. I love that Jimmy Pesto effectively just makes love to an arcade machine in front of Bob's family, which is so... Oh, I expect that from, like, Strange Wilderness or Grandma's Boy or some other, like, Happy Madison production that doesn't have Adam Sandler in it. That sort of weird meta comedy that almost broke it. It felt like Tim and Eric scenes. A lot of these felt like Tim and Eric sketches stretched out into a whole episode and just dialed the weirdness down a little bit. There's actually kind of a lot to love here. Burger Boss... It grew on me, and it's one of my favorite episodes to revisit now. Number 4, Bob Day Afternoon. Gary Cole and Bill Hader, what's not to love? It's in the episode itself. Bob Day Afternoon. What if you made a Bob's Burgers parody of Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino? Why not? And you get something great. Sergeant Bosco is such a fun replacement for the cops from the first season, and he just brings this wild, shut up, I'm Sergeant Bosco. I'm not gonna do this the right way. Well, I don't know what kind of burgers he wants. It's just, Gary Cole was such a great addition to this. Now, of course, Gary Cole has been in Family Guy. I believe he's been in American Dad. He's been in King of the Hill. He's been in everything. But this is a brilliant showcase of what Gary Cole and Bill Hader were bringing to the show. Because Mickey is amazing, too. She's like, what does Mickey want? Mickey. Like, that's great. That's fun. And then you still manage to hammer in, like, 3 side stories. Gene wanting to go to robot college, Tina wanting to know if her money's okay, and Louise wanting to do a report on Mickey. Like, it's so normal, yet exaggerated in the perfect way. It's such a strong episode, which shines that much brighter in an already super short season. Like, it was hard to come up with a top 5, mostly because there's not even 10 episodes to the season, and really any of them in the circulation can work. It's just Bob Day Afternoon. That's, again, most of these are ones I will still revisit to this day, and it's easy to see why. Number 3, Beef Squatch. Beef Squatch, more scotch. Beef Squatch is fun. Beef Squatch is a weirdly packed guest star filled episode that is both a perfect season finale and just perfect, dumb, weird meta fun. I mean, Samantha Bee, Thomas Lennon, and Nathan Fielder in one episode. And Nathan Fielder's great. She's like, I want to touch her hair. And like, I found Nathan For You and I found Bob's Burgers at around the same time. So I was very into that kind of meta comedy. As someone that, watched a lot of Tim and Eric, a lot of Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule, this was right up my alley. And just having Gene, parade down like,
That is so Adult Swim, off the air, too many cooks, and it sings with this weird manic energy that it hits the eye right. I love watching this episode. I love revisiting it. It's still one of my favorites of all time, and that was a weird peak of the show. After season 2, the show does become less weird, and season 3 still got dark humor to it, but Beef Squatch really felt like the end of an era that I could not see going on any longer than it did. It needed to go past that dark, weird era into something a little bit more family friendly, but man, Beef Squatch was just something else, and I loved it. Number 2, Moody Foodie. You sit down, right, and you've got a list of episode ideas just off of the show has a restaurant. Somebody works in a restaurant at some point in the show. You will always have a food critic episode. You will usually have, especially in a sitcom, we poisoned the food critic because we didn't realize he was the food critic, and we thought it was this really lavish, eccentric guy, but oops, we're wrong, and there's our conflict for the rest of the episode. Like, that is something I will always give a pass because it has to happen. Tropes are tropes for a reason. And when you take a trope like that and turn it into something like Moody Foodie, you really show you understand the assignment. We get more of Bob's friends and other restaurateurs that we don't see a ton of them anymore, and I do miss them. But, like, you also get Bob just getting a little freaked out about Patton Oswalt critic, and that's great. You have the whole thing with tin cups. Like, I'm sorry. Every time I revisit this episode, I find something else to love. Even that end part where he's just moaning into the phone and like, oh, you're just some sick freak, aren't you? It's just, that comedic timing is something so special, especially when you look at like Simpsons season 2 or Family Guy season 2. Bob's Burgers was created by people that know how to keep the jokes going all the way to the credits, just bam, 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 bam. And I love that it was an episode based around Bob and his restaurant. The kids were not the focus, and that becomes such a commonality over time, and I'm just kind of done with it. But Moody Foodie, perfectly seasoned. And number 1, Food Truckin'. The episode's so good, I said they should make it the movie. It's just, again, it's the board. If you have a restaurant, if you're post like 2000 and whenever the food truck wars on Food Network started airing and food trucks became just an overnight massive thing, hey, what if the restaurant in our show has a food truck episode? Except again, the Bob's Burgers version is the best way you could do this. You have great jokes on the buses, you have the kids all doing things, you have Randy, who's the best, and he's oddly supportive of Bob, and they both just kind of like each other and hate each other's guts, and I love that. I love every bit of it. You know, you've got oil spill, it's just, the thing I always think about the most is when Gene asks if this turns on the grill and Teddy just goes, why, yes, it does, Gene. And he presses it and it blows up. It's the joke, the comedic timing in that episode is perfect. Everyone is their worst selves, and I still go, I'm going to throw a falafel at him every single day. It is something that has been etched into the very curves and bumps of me brain. Food Truckin' it might be my second favorite episode of Bob's Burgers of all time. Just bar none. It's just that good. And there we have it. That's my top 5 episodes of season 2. Not that it was a lot to choose from, but it's my list and I'm sticking to it. Anything I was right on? Wrong on? What were your top 5 episodes? Least favorite episodes of the season? There would definitely be some overlap. Go ahead, do it. List 10 episodes of a 9-episode season. I dare you. That being said, season 2 was like the Bob's Burgers season 1 DLC.
that showed that they had some gas in the tank. I loved it. I loved everything about season 2. Only like Bad Tina was at the bottom of my list. Otherwise, fantastic season. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us here at the Lecture Hall. And if you want to support the channel, consider joining our membership or Patreon program today. $2 a month gets you special polls, posts, and even your name, that's right, your name on this very special list. Like always, thank you all so much for watching. Stay strong, keep fighting that good fight, and know that I believe in you. Things will always get better, I guarantee it. It's okay to not be okay, and a brighter light will shine someday. And your brighter light is that you get to look forward to even more Merry Bobmas, because this is only part 2, and we've got so much more to give you. So, goodbye everybody, and I'll see you all next time.